The Left Hand of Darkness is the second fiction novel that I've read by Ursula Le Guin. The first one was The Dispossessed. Both are set in the same universe. They don't involve any of the same characters or even the same worlds. In The Left Hand of Darkness, it's about an alien envoy that's coming from this intergalactic organization called the Ecumen, and he's come to this planet called Guin, or Winter, and in an attempt to bring the civilizations on this planet under the Ecumen fold to make like a peace and trade treaty with their leaders. There are a couple unique aspects to these people on Guin. First, and probably the biggest difference, is that they are androgynous. They don't have a separate male or female sex. They can sort of morph between the two. And that's not the only difference. They also are more acclimated to the cold because Winter, the planet, is very cold, and it's covered in snow. Most of it is covered in snow for most of the year. And their whole society structure is sort of built around that barrier. The fact that there's so much snow on this planet, it makes travel difficult, and it highlights isolation, but also sort of community, and it's interesting how that plays a role on their society. The story follows Guin, who is the alien envoy, as he tries to convince the leaders of this planet to join or treat with the Ecumen. But not only that, he needs to convince them that he's actually an alien from another planet, because they've never met anyone from another planet before, and this is their first experience with that, and they haven't even seen flying devices before. I don't think there are any birds on this planet, so they've never seen planes or spaceships or anything like that. That's something that he uses to help convince them of the truth of his statements, the fact that he has a spaceship that can fly, and also his physiology, the fact that he is male. But not everyone is convinced. Some people think he's a liar, a trickster, a spy, or a pervert, as they call those individuals who are born with only one gender. And another thing he needs to convince them of is that the Ecumen aren't there to subjugate them or dominate them, but this is more about a trade of knowledge. One thing that I found interesting that Guin came across was the philosophy of the Handara, which is a religious group on Guin who reject the idea of asking questions, and the reason is because they believe that if you ask the wrong questions, you get useless answers, and usually people ask the wrong questions. So they reject knowledge, they just want to be. And that seems to be the opposite of what the Ecumen's goal is, which is to seek knowledge, and that's the whole point of them seeking out other human civilizations across the universe, is to learn from them. And I think it's interesting that they're so different, yet there isn't any conflict between the Handara and Guin. In fact, that's probably one of the peaceful times, the most peaceful times he has or spends in this book is when he's with the Handara. So I thought that was interesting. While reading this book, I did feel anxious for Genli's safety, him being an alien all by himself on this planet. And he really is. He's alone, completely alone. Although he does have a radio he can use to communicate with others on other planets, but they're years away. They can communicate instantaneously, but any travel would take years. He's not likely to get any help, physical help from them, at least. But I also didn't feel anxious about his mission. I didn't feel like there was any worry that his mission wouldn't be accomplished. And I think that's because of the vastness of like the universe and like the way he talks about time and how much time is invested in this project or this goal. Because of the way that the space travel works, years go by before someone even reaches the planet that they are going to, and then if that succeeds, then years are going to go by before anyone else goes there. And it's just something where you're looking at the long-term goal rather than any short-term goals. So I feel like the steps that the Ecumen are taking to accomplish those long-term goals makes them seem inevitable, because they're willing to take so much time to accomplish it, so it seems more solid. Even if Gimli himself isn't able to accomplish this, someone else will probably do it if he can't. I really enjoyed this book. It was very thought-provoking. As with The Dispossessed, there was an adjustment period when I first started the book, where it took me a little bit to get into the world and really understand it and understand what was going on, because in both those books you're thrown sort of in the middle of everything. It's not the start of the story, but even so, you're just thrown into the world, and there aren't explanations for how things work or how people think, which is definitely different. The main character is an alien from an alien society, civilization, who thinks differently and acts differently than we do. So not only do we have to understand them, but we also have to understand and try to learn to understand the society they've been introduced to, which in both books we have our main character being introduced to this new civilization or society that's very different from their own. So that's interesting, that not only are we trying to understand this thing that they're trying to understand, but we're also trying to understand them. It was definitely interesting, and I think it's interesting that both of those books have that similar idea. It's hard for me to say which one I liked more. At first I thought definitely The Dispossessed, but the more I think about it, the more I really liked the latter half of The Left Hand of Darkness. It was really engaging and emotional, and I really liked it. I would like to continue reading books set in this universe. There are a couple more. I don't know what they're called. I think one of them might be The Telling. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to read next. But I do know that the next Guin book I'm going to read is Earthsea. I'm probably going to start that soon. So I'm really excited for that. It's the first fantasy book by her that I'll be reading, and I've been wanting to start it for a while. So that'll be fun. If you have read any of the other books set in this universe, in the Hainish cycle, then let me know, and let me know what you thought of them, which ones you liked the most. Maybe that'll help me decide where to go from here. So thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you guys next time.